Hello, my name is Jillian Korach, and I am going to be presenting about talent acquisition versus recruitment. Recruiting is really focused on finding candidates and filling those vacancies as fast as you can. There really isn't a lot of strategy with it. It's more of, kind of getting to know the job duties, finding a candidate that has those qualifications, and then from there on, just filling that role and really in a timely manner. A lot of companies do utilize agencies for specific recruiting especially if it's really specialized. For example, the company I work with, Red Robin, uses a lot of agencies for IT positions or something of that sort that really kind of has a specific niche. And a recruiter within the company would take a lot of time to kind of research and build a database for those candidates, and these agencies already have them accessible. However, with using these agencies does come some money requirements where you have to pay them some sort of percentage on their salary. So that could get pretty expensive for companies if they continue to utilize agencies for all of their roles. And can definitely hinder them. And with a recruiter within the company, you wouldn't have to pay that. It would just be something that was in their job duties. And this is really, really kind of not creating a pipeline of candidates and, just kind of going in there, finding a candidate, getting somebody in the role, and then kind of moving on. They do create pipelines if they do, like I was talking about earlier about the specialized agencies. So they will have, pipeline candidates for those. But that is only, if one of those roles do come up. Talent acquisition, on the other hand, is more of an ongoing strategy and more of that long-term human resources strategy. So this is usually a centralized function within the human resources team that focuses on recruiting. It can focus on retention. It can focus on performance, kind of everything to encompass inside of it. So how I kind of describe it is I'm on the talent acquisition team. And when I recruit for somebody, I consider all of those things. Are they going to stay with a company for a while? So can that increase our retention? Are they going to be wanting to develop within the company? Are they going to want to move up? So that can really focus on performance. And, are they the right culture fit? So that's probably one of my favorite things about a talent acquisition team is they can really invest a lot of time within the culture and, figure out if that candidate is going to fit well within that team, within the company, and kind of exemplify those values. And that's something that I think recruiting is a little bit less on because they don't work within the company. They are more of an outside agency that, kind of looks within, kind of gets an idea of what the culture is, but doesn't really live and breathe it every single day. So that's definitely, I think, a benefit for talent acquisition. However, it does, talent acquisition does take a little bit longer. We don't have, we don't have specialized recruiters that focus on some just IT, just, something or other. I think some bigger companies probably do have recruiters within that do focus on that, but it is kind of rare to find. The recruiters at Red Robin really focus on all positions within Red Robin, in the home office as well as in the fields. That can go from restaurant manager to server to a director of IT. So really kind of having to invest a little bit more time with the hiring managers, with people within the company to make sure that we're finding the right fit, but it is going to take a little bit longer, and we don't have a database filled out with a whole bunch of candidates that we can call right away. It's going to be a little bit more legwork on our end. So with the gaps, so like I was talking a little bit about earlier, within recruiting, they're not really focused on retention. They're not focused on performance. They just want to get somebody in the door, fill that role, and kind of move on to that next step. So there's no strategy involved. It's more of, finding that person with those qualifications and kind of putting them in there and then, not really caring if they kind of succeed within the role. Of course, I think some agencies really do, but from my experience, it's more of finding the right person with the qualifications, getting them in the door, and then they kind of fizzle out after that. And with that, there's also not a lot of culture fit, and they're not very culture and fit oriented. So with that being said, they try to take some time, kind of get to know the company, but they don't live and breathe it every day. They don't, work within our culture. They don't practice our values, and speak to our employees every single day. So I think that's a huge gap within recruiting. Within talent acquisition, I think the gap is it's a lot more timely, and there are a lot more processes and procedures. So when a recruitment agency gets a role, they know it's open, they know it needs to be filled, and they're going to try to fill it right away. With talent acquisition, it takes a lot of legwork to kind of get that position open, make sure all the approvals, make sure it's budgeted, everything like that. So I think that also adds time onto the process, which can be frustrating for people within the recruiting team, people within the company, and everything of that sort, with following those processes and procedures, and making sure that strategy is there, but it does take some time. So by doing an analysis for talent acquisition and recruiting, it is really important for an organization to understand if the company would be more successful with a talent acquisition team or a recruiting team or recruiting agency. So really kind of focusing in on, if there are many roles that you have to fill year after year, and we have 600 plus openings a year, a talent acquisition team makes sense. It makes sense to kind of get bodies within the organization that are able to fill those roles than kind of outsourcing all of them. However, there are companies that possibly just need one role filled. So that's definitely something that I think a recruiting agency or recruiting team could kind of just focus in on that one role, and it wouldn't be that much of a cost deficit for that organization. However, I've definitely seen a lot of talent acquisition teams, are really beneficial for hiring managers. So really kind of making sure, that the hiring managers are getting taken care of, and kind of seeing the needs of what the hiring managers do need, if they're really hurting on retention, if they're really hurting on performance. That's how a talent acquisition team can really kind of step in and kind of be that all-do person of, focusing on getting somebody in there, but also getting someone in there that is going to work very hard and stay, is also, I think, really important to kind of understand when you are looking for somebody to fill a role. And that's what a lot of hiring managers do look. For example, many, founders and presidents see talent acquisition as efficient. And that was somebody that Deanne Turner, an executive with Chick-fil-A, believes that all industries should focus on talent acquisition rather than recruitment, because acquisition builds stronger company, fosters teamwork, and boosts productivity. So really making sure that, if a company is going to the recruiting route, that's really what the company really does need. And, agencies cost a lot of money. There are costs that do factor in, and of course there is cost affected with a recruiting team. So recruiters do get salaries, or do get some type of commission, or something on that sort. So if you do have a salary talent acquisition team, you got to just do some analysis on if an agency or a centralized model makes more sense, because if you get agency after agency, those commissions can really add up. So kind of thinking of the solutions, I'm very pro talent acquisition team. And so, by kind of thinking of those specified roles, maybe having recruiters that do just focus in on some of those specialized roles, and they can just focus on getting those 10 roles filled versus everyone else doing 80 roles that are kind of more similar to one another. And by doing this, both parts can create a pipeline. So can create a pipeline for example, for Red Robin restaurant managers, or even home office employees that focus in on IT, that focus in HR, kind of creating a pipeline of people that you kind of keep warm, and keep kind of invested if that time does come around. And then also, creating a strategy, if it is a new thing for a company to get a talent acquisition team, and creating some type of strategy and continue to add during the year. So not having it a lot of pressure at the front end of, you need to have this strategy, but kind of having a year where you kind of work out of creating what you think is a strategy, and then, continue to add during year and year, and then, that will evolve as you can. And then also, another solution is if, possibly there is a company with a recruiting team that just really focuses on getting people in roles, and that's it. Really how you can kind of transition that for an internal recruiting team to be more talent acquisition is, giving them goals on retention, performance, and training. This is something that we do at Red Robin, and I think it really is helpful. Right now, I'm going to be having one more on retention. So really kind of focusing on the onboarding and kind of eliminating that gap between offer to first day. And so that can really retain employees. I've seen really great results from other companies. So I think that's what my goal is going to be this year. And I think that really kind of shifts my mind to be less of a recruiter to more of a talent, more of like a talent recruiter, and really kind of finding that talent, bringing it in to Red Robin or whatever organization. And then also, something that I did speak about is, a good communication strategy. I talked about this in my discussion. And so, a quote that really stood out to me is a good communication strategy will and live in the corporate vision in publishing every successful step along the journey and hooking these moments of magic back into the corporate purpose. It will also reinforce the link between these steps and the applied talents of those who made them happen. And that was from Wilson, and it was from one of our readings this week. So I think that this is also a solution. I think something within talent acquisition and recruiting, no matter what it is, you need to have a good communication strategy and be, very talking with hiring managers, talking with agencies if you are working with them, just kind of creating or just having a good communication can be a solution for many, many problems within, an organization. And these are my references. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye.